Evening gang, this is one of those videos that I'm going to have to word and phrase very carefully and leave you to do some reading between the lines, because I can't make any claims that can't be absolutely substantiated and backed up. What is it about? It's about the PCR test. Do you remember the PCR test? That was the swab test that basically was used as the gold standard of testing during the outbreak in 2020. I can't even say the word, but you know, the one that begins with C. And the PCR test was developed and wasn't developed specifically to test for that disease or that so-called illness, but it was used for that. And the PCR test can be turned up to certain cycles, and the higher you turn up the number of cycles that you do the testing, the more sensitive it is, I suppose, is the way you'd phrase it. Data has come out of Germany whereby they matched up positive tests from PCR tests against people's actual blood tests and blood test results and antibody results. And it turns out that the PCR test only matched up to the actual blood test, the actual antibody test results, in 10 to 14% of cases. So what that means is that where people were diagnosed by the PCR test as being positive for the C word, when they actually then compared that to their blood test results, they only matched 10 to 14% of the time. That means that test was only 10 to 14% accurate. It means that in 86 to 90% of cases, it was wrong. It gave a false positive. And then when you think about what the repercussions of those false tests created, people being forced to stay off work, unable to travel, unable to visit relatives, unable in many cases to enter hospital to get treatment, and many other outcomes from that. And in up to 90% of cases, it was wrong. And you think about the effect that had worldwide. It's an absolute catastrophe. It's an absolute shocker that we allowed a test that many people said at the time wasn't designed for that purpose, shouldn't be used for that purpose, and couldn't be trusted, particularly if it was turned up to between 35 and 40 cycles to get an outcome, which is exactly what it was done or was done. Then the whole thing starts to fall apart. The whole thing starts to look very shaky. And they would have known at the time. The scientists, the labs, and everyone else would have known this at the time. It's only now that the data is actually being released and actually being fully tested. As I say, I can't say any more than that. I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions, because this video is going on TikTok and TikTok will censor it and will ban it. If it's on Instagram or Facebook, you can get away with a lot more, and much more on X. But you know exactly what I'm saying here. Read between the lines. Only 10 to 14% of the test results were correct.